Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Nancy. How are you all doing today? I pray all is well with you and your families. So in this channel, I share with you guys my healing journey from a victim to a survivor of child abuse. And hopefully if your story is similar to mine, then hopefully you can learn one or two things from my own story. So let's get into it, guys. Ego, I call it this one enemy of progress, really. Ego was I'll say my number one most challenging psychological sin that I had to deal with in this process, in this healing process. And I still have some residues of this ego that I'm still working on. I have to work on it every time. That's why I have to stay just focused on God, because some of these residues of this ego, I'm still dealing with it. But I must say, I thank God for rescuing me from this ego thing. Ego became my strong tower, really. It became my strong tower because it was where I could hide myself. It was my hiding place. It was my defender. It was it became my performer, the fake me. It helped me create this other me, another me, really. And it hid every truth from me so that I don't see the truth. So it battered me with things that were untruthful so that I can feel better about myself. That's what ego did to me. Yeah, so first of all, let's define this ego, because we might have different definitions of ego, because anyone defines ego the way they see it. To me, ego is how you see yourself, your values, how you perceive the world, how you see the image of yourself, how you feel about yourself. That's ego to me. So then now the question is, if that ego is traumatized as a child, how would you see the world? How would you see yourself? How would you feel about yourself? How would you act in the world if that ego now is damaged? Now, speaking for my own self, when pain is in that memory box now as a child, means then your memory box is distorted. Everything you're going to see is going to be distorted. Your image is going to be distorted. You're going to see yourself wrong. You are going to blame. You are going to be so angry. You are going to be filled with hate. You'll be filled with hate. So you are out of touch and out of sight. You might be present, but you are not there. You are lost in this day-to-day world. Now you go in this hiding because you are so ashamed. So you hid yourself from the world because you don't want the world to see the shame. And then ego now, because it's now trying to cover the mess, you are then trapped in a poor me cycle. Oh, poor me, this happened to me, in a self-pity cycle. So you are then trapped in pain, and it goes in a circle, because anytime you are triggered, ego is just going to try and cover everything up and defend you and tell you, defend yourself, do this. That's how the world acts when these things happen. So you're always going to be in that cycle of you being triggered, you go in pain, you go again in a self-pity mode. And then worst of all, if you come from a world where everything has to be put under the rug. You can't tell anyone. Secret of the family becomes a secret. Then it's just gonna be hard to come out of that thing. You can't get help anyway. So you now are forced to go in this stronghold of pain, stronghold of emotions rather, not knowing what to do with the emotions, with what you're feeling. You just become, you are stuck. So how would you perceive the world? For me, it was easy. I had to create a representative of myself, another me. I had to be a class act, and not in a good way. I had to be the best. I had to be, what you call it, excellent, like perfect. That's the word. I had to create this perfect me that the world will welcome, the perfect me that I thought that is the ideal for the world, really. Not for me, for the world. So I created another person who was going to represent me the way I thought was the way I was supposed to be before the thing happened. You know, for that to happen, you have to make sure no one knows about the fake you, so you perform. You don't trust anybody because you are thinking people can turn on you, the world is bad. You are full of resentment, you're full of fear to be caught, that somebody will know about my shame. So you get busy covering, running, moving on, you know, because you don't want anyone to discover the shame, to know about your shame, because you're just thinking if they know about the shame, then they're not gonna see me the way I want to be seen, which is perfect. So you go on a journey of lies, performing and being defensive. Ego became my coping mechanism. And then if you grow up from your childhood to your teenage years, it just goes with you, and the mess keeps on growing. And then if you get married and you become a mom, guess what? It just grows with you. It becomes a mom with you, and it becomes a wife with you. So you become this overprotective. For me, speaking for myself, I became this overprotective mom, because now I was saying, you know what, I don't want this to happen to my children, especially with my first child. It affected her more because she was a girl for one. So I was like, no, this is never going to happen. So you become this overprotective, thinking you are doing good, but yet you not knowing that you're doing harm to your children. You end up parenting your kids with pain and not your heart, because your heart is full of resentment. So what ends up parenting your kids is your pain, your mind, because your mind is running the things. That ego is running the show. So that's what ends up parenting your kids. So really, guys, as long this ego thing is in your life, it will control your life. You won't be able to make rational decisions. You will just be run by your feelings, your emotions. It's only when you come to that point where you have had enough of all whatever is going on in your life that you stop and you say, you know what, let me face this thing. Where you make a decision where you don't want to be living in your trauma, in your pain. That's the only time you will start peeling those layers of baggage that were created in yourself, that you created. You start seeing the lies that are underneath. But it has to take you making that decision and saying enough is enough of this pain. To come out of this grip of this ego thing, it's going to be a hell of a fight. Well, let me speak for myself. For me, it was a fight. Let me tell you, even before I had a relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ, our Savior, I thought that for you to be forgiven, it was just going to be on Easter. I would crucify that ego on Easter. only to find out that the same very day, next month, that ego will come back with vengeance. So I would crucify it, it will come back. I will say, okay, God, take this, but yet I will do the very thing that I'm saying, take. So it was just God's grace really for me now to realize that no, you don't have to wait for Easter, because this ego will just be playing you like a yo-yo. So you really need to understand that Easter is every day. His mercy and his grace are new every day. So even though when I realized that, I would surrender this ego thing, and I'll still fail. I couldn't get exactly what's going on until I said, you know what, Lord, please intervene in this, because I wasn't sure what was going on. And when I surrendered, guys, when I truly surrendered, because what ego does also is it makes you use your own strength. You strive with your own strength, not knowing that it won't work out. You will fail and fail again. So once I realized that, you know what, my strength is not working here, my efforts are not working here, I needed something higher than this, because this ego in my life was more demonic. It became like a demon. So when I realized that and I surrendered for real, that's when God intervened in my situation. And I started seeing now the real truth, the real stuff that were underneath that the ego was covering. That's what you need to go to. You need to deal with those things, because ego is just a cover-up, but there are things that are underneath that you need to be open to. Your eyes has to be opened for you to see that, and for you to be able to deal with each issue at a time. So just to give you an idea of how this ego in my life was like, so that maybe you can relate, or you can have an idea. So with me, it was like I was very defensive. That's number one. I was very defensive. If I smell like I'm being attacked, I will put on my defensive gear right away. So even if it wasn't an attack, if I perceive like it's an attack, I'm already defensive. And I had to be in control, because I felt like if I let go of my control, something bad will happen to me. So I had to be in control of everything. I had to make sure things go my way or no way at all. If I'm offended, I'll hold on to that offense. Either I won't talk to the person who offended me for a very long time, or I'll just carry that offense for days. I was so easily offended, because anything could trigger me at any time. And I want to apologize. Even if it meant to save my soul, I wouldn't apologize for nothing. That's what ego will do to you. And then let's say even if it's a small situation where it's a small conflict, somehow my mind will twist that small issue to make it so big, just because I wanted to complicate stuff, and then to turn that issue into to relate to my pain or something, and it becomes a big matter when it was a very tiny issue. Yeah, so it was so many stuff. So it's easy to tell if your ego is running things. That's how my ego was running my life. Anyways, guys, so coming out of this ego grip, if you are already realizing this ego, then you're already coming out. It's the realization that is very important. Once you see that, you know what, this is ego, this is something that you don't like, it means you're already in that process. So it's a very good thing. But coming out of this thing, you are going to need God himself, the maker himself. Because for me, ego was the resistant demon in my life. it made me miserable. Yet I ran back to it again to hide. So you really are going to need God to help you in this situation. I don't know, I heard that now they have something like what is it called? I forgot the name, that you can actually go and get healed from this. Like they put machines on your head. I don't know what it's called. I'm gonna do my research on it so that I can get these residues of this ego out of my system, if it's not expensive, because I know it won't be cheap. But anyway, you're just going to need God, guys. You're just going to need him to help you in this situation. And because your own strength will fail you, so his light will shine on those hidden things, because there are so many hidden things that will be in you that you won't be aware of, that are driving the whole you. So once God is involved in your situation, he will open your eyes to those hidden areas that are driving everything and giving you issues, you know. That's why you need to create that time with him. Create the space and time to spend time with God, and do it every day. That way he orders your steps to that way he orders your steps to the direction you need to go, to what you need to read, who to talk to, if you are fortunate to have the money and things like that to do those therapy sessions, or the things that hook to the head that I heard of, you know. At least if you have God, he will direct you to those things. So that's why it's very important to do this with God, partner with him, so he can, you know, you can come out of this thing, you know. Forgive. Like I always tell you guys, you can never move on until you release that person who wronged you. You can never be free until you release that person that wronged you. You need to release that perpetrator, because if you don't, you will not be free. Once I figured out that one, my life changed when I freed him and said, you know what, I forgive you. And it was for real this time when I forgave him. And that's when I started seeing those layers come off, you know. So you just have to release that perpetrator, forgive him, so you can be free. So once you allow God into your pain, you find out that you will start dealing with those issues one at a time. And as you do that, it seems like that ego grip starts just loosening up, and then you start loving yourself, you start being present, you start seeing the world differently. You are now able to forgive. You are able now to not hold on to stuff, and before you know it, you are not easily offended. Those triggers won't trigger you no more. It's so many things that will start happening, but it's a process. It's not gonna be a one-day process. It's a slow process, but like I always say, I think God does it for that reason. That way you can really thoroughly deal with these issues, because they've been with you for a long time. So you need time also to mature into this new you, the you that you didn't even know of, because because the ego was blinding you all this time. So just allow God to touch your pain, to heal you. Let him fix that ego that was damaged, because once it's fixed, you are able to see yourself right. You are able to see the way he sees you, but he has to heal you first. And then ask him to just renew your mind each and every day, because each and every day is gonna bring its own triggers. It's like a different day by itself. But when you spend time with him every day, you see that with time you'll be able to know what to do. He will help you, he will direct you, he will protect you. It just gets easier. That's what I'm trying to say. But you have to spend that time with him. And then the number one thing that this ego wants to do is it tries to make you think that it's all about people, how people sees you, not how God sees you. It wants you to do what you do for people. So once you get delivered from this people pleasing thing, that's the number one thing that this ego wants you to do, is always try to please people. So once you are free from this people pleasing spirit, you'll find out that your journey becomes easier. Your journey becomes so easy, because the people you're trying to please, really, they don't know your pain. They don't know your story. So you have to stop trying to please them, because they were never in your pain when you were going through it. Just think it like that. The people that you're trying to please will never understand your pain. They were never in your pain. So you don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't have to please them. You don't have to worry about what they think of you. What would they do if they know the truth of you? Don't worry about that. All you need to worry about is what God thinks about it, what God is saying about it. Is this God behind it, or is it also ego? That's your only worry. Just worry about what God thinks and what God is saying, not what people think or what people are saying, because you can never please people, and ego will make you work for people, and you don't want that. Anyways, guys, like I always tell you, this journey you have to be willing to embark on. It's your journey. It's not anyone's journey. No one will know what's like to be in your pain, but you do. So you have to be willing to take this journey so you can get better and spend time with God. Only He can do it for you. That's it for today, guys. I hope this helps you. You learn one or two things from it. You have a wonderful, blessed week, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you. Bye.